Good Saturday night, everybody. Welcome to the Pitt Football Game Day postgame show. I'm Mason Spesky, your host here with you. And Pitt Football just lost today, 58 by a final score 58-7 in South Bend, Indiana, at the hands of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I promise you, this is not going to be some long rant like the pregame show, which was very brief. I'm going to keep this postgame show very brief as well because I'm a busy person and tomorrow's a busy day, so this is definitely going to be brief, and I don't know really what there is to talk about. I mean, this confirmed the obvious. This team is not very good. Everybody knows it. I mean, I totally expected to lose this game. I didn't go into this game thinking we would win it, but I didn't go into this game either thinking we would lose by 51 points and that Valou would be pulled. I think it probably was a good thing to pull Valou for health reasons. I mean, he's only a sophomore, and I'd have to imagine he's going to be the starting quarterback next year for sure. So I wouldn't, if you're down by 40 points, he's obviously having a bad day. He's thrown like 6 interceptions. I wouldn't risk keeping him in a football game and possibly risking him tearing his ACL or possibly something even more serious that could basically cost him the rest of his college football career and significantly alter his draft stock. I mean, if he does good here the rest of this year, which really I wouldn't count the rest of this year. I wouldn't care what he does much the rest of this year, just as long as he improves, which it's going to be hard for him not to improve after today, to be honest. But if he has a good junior year and a really good senior year and he declares, I can easily see him being a 3rd or a 4th round pick, possibly even a 2nd round draft pick. So I was smart by Narduzzi and company not to keep him in there and possibly risk a catastrophe with injury-wise. So, and also gave Nate Yarnell some reps. It was good to see him get the touchdown to Mumfeld today, but I mean, something's got to give here, and I'm not going to say what it is. I have my opinions on what I would do with this team, but I'm just going to keep those opinions to myself. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the tweets and stuff I've been reading are just about how this team 2 short years ago was a powerhouse, and look at where they are now. I guess there was some press conference at some point. I don't know when it was. I just read about it. I didn't really pay attention much when I was reading it. I just know there was a conference or a statement at some point that I guess Narduzzi didn't like how the 2021 team won the championship, and he supposedly wanted to do it a different way, and these are the consequences from it. I don't know when he said this. I mean, this is just something I was reading, so don't take it from me at all in terms of that. But yeah, I mean, I don't think he's the ultimate problem. I think there's a lot of other things. I mean, I think he did the right thing benching Dracovic for Valou. It obviously shows that politics were not played in this situation, so I commend him for that. And I think overall he has done a good job and stuff. The only thing that I think he could really get better at is probably recruiting. I mean, but he has done a good job. I mean, he did get a player from Aliquippa. I forget their name. I'm sorry, whoever it is. He did get Julian Duggar, who's going to be a really good quarterback someday for Pitt. So he's improved with recruiting. I think next year's class is one of the better ones in the ACC. I was surprised to see Stanford, who's coming over to our conference next year. I'm surprised they had a good class, but I mean, when you put it in perspective, it's a good class, and I mean, I think he did good in terms of that situation. So yeah, I mean, these past 2 years have been good, and I was reading about how the team upset UCLA. I remember this team upset UCLA last year with a lot of the players that are going to play that are on this year's team, and everybody was optimistic about this year because of that, and this is it. I mean, I think we have talent. I mean, Sebo, Ronnie Hammond Jr., Conta Mumfield, Bud Means, Bartholomew. I'm very disappointed about the fact that Bartholomew hasn't played at all this year or gotten many receptions. I mean, he did have that amazing touchdown play against Cincinnati. You haven't heard much about him this year, and he's eligible for the NFL draft too, and he came off a great year last year. So I think it's a mistake that they're not using him there. I think it's a lot of mistakes. You can't really blame Devin Sire for that touchdown, that muffed punt for a touchdown. I think he was being covered all around. There was too much on him. So that's not an issue with me. It's just, and Christian Blue wasn't really used to this. He's never played a ranked team on the road in a game like that. So, I mean, you got to give him credit for just going out there and trying his best. Next week at home, it's going to be a nightmare. We all know it's going to be a nightmare. Florida State's probably either going to come close to breaking or break the point record. So they will most likely be striving to see if they could get the most points in a game that they've ever scored, because Notre Dame today put up 58. I could see Florida State putting up in the 60s for sure next week, possibly even the 70s, but I don't know. We just know it's going to be bad. It's going to be really bad. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. At this point, this season is a lost cause. I'm just going to be happy when it's over with. 4 more games: Florida State, at Syracuse, Boston College, and at Duke. This team's going to be hopefully hungrier going into next year, and hopefully losses like this motivate the team to do better things in the future. I don't know what the future looks like player-wise, coaching-wise. I don't know who's going to stay, who's going to go, and transfer portal-wise, who's going to transfer out, who's going to come in. But definitely will be interesting to see. So yeah, losses like this hurt, but it's not a surprise, and this team needs help, and a lot of it. And I don't know what's going to happen, and it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen. I mean, Cincinnati Bearcats, identical record as us. Surprisingly, their last win was when they played us. And Michigan State, their last win was that same September day, 2-6. They're both, I think, probably at the end of tonight, all 3 of those teams will be 2-6. They were the powerhouses of college football just 2 short years ago. Teams that weren't were teams like Washington and Florida State. They were both pathetic 2 years ago. Look at where they are now. Even TCU, they jumped a lot from 2021 to 22, obviously, but yeah. There's a lot of parity in this sport, so I'm confident Pitt will be back, and they'll be back sooner rather than later. So just get through these last 4 weeks and move forward after then. See where things go. That's all I have for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Next week's going to be an interesting game for sure. It's the Florida State Seminoles at Acrisure Stadium. Definitely interesting. It'll be good to see it'll be fun watching Jordan Travis, Keon Coleman, Trey Benson, Jared Verse. Super excited to see those guys play for Florida State, because it's going to be more about not so much win or lose. It's just going to be the fact that you're going to see what it's a good thing for Pitt, because they're going to see like what a truly talented team on the cusp of a college football playoff berth in the ACC looks like. And Pitt will get to see that this week when they prepare for them. And hopefully this Florida State game teaches Pitt something. Hopefully they can watch more so instead of trying to win this game. Obviously you're going to try to win this game because you try to win every game, but instead they should try to watch and learn what Florida State does and see how they're doing it so well, so that possibly in 24, 25, even 26, they could copy it, and maybe the results will work. So it'll be interesting to see what Florida State does. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. I'll see you next week for the Florida State game. Have a good one. Take care. Stay safe. Enjoy this week. Happy Halloween. And as always, peace. See you next week.